Welcome back to Turn Friday into Erev Shabbos, a good Erev Shabbos and a good Chodesh, everyone. It is Rosh Chodesh Av, which on the one hand means we're mema'atin b'simcha. We have to diminish our sense of joy, but on the other hand, it's Rosh Chodesh. It's a new month, it's freshness. And Av, after all, is Menachem Av. There's some comfort in that month of Av, which we will once arrive again. I want to thank our generous sponsors for Turn Friday into Erev Shabbos, our series sponsors, dear friends Mendel and Tzipora Fishman, as Chus V'chai Rivka Bat Tzipora Fredo, in memory of Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Rav Yaakov Tzibin David Aryeh. This today's Erev Shabbos shir is also sponsored by my dear beloved cousin Rav Yonah Lazar and his family, in gratitude for the Achnasas Orchim that his aunt and uncle, my parents, provided for him recently. We love you, Yonah. Thank you for your sponsorship. Turn Friday into Erev Shabbos. I wish we could be playing our music, but we can't. We find ourselves in the midst of the Bein HaMetzarim. We are in these 3 painful weeks, and yet, even in the middle of those 3 painful weeks, Shabbos comes as a place of refuge. Shabbos comes, it is a salve on our open wound. When we think of Churban, we think of the destruction, and we think of Silak Hashchina, Hashem is withdrawn, that divine presence. But Shabbos comes and we immerse ourselves in it. And even now, the 9 days, no meat or wine except for Shabbos, Shabbos clothing. We find ourselves lost in Shabbos in this time. Today is the Yurtzeit of the Bobov Rebbe. Today is the Yurtzeit of Rav Shlomo Halberstam, the third Bobov Rebbe, born 1908. He passed away August 2nd, and today is his Yurtzeit. He was a survivor of the Holocaust. He lost his first wife and most of his children, and he came and he rebuilt Bobov to a thriving Hasidus and dynasty. I read a testimony recently of what it was like, the Bobov Rebbe's tish, the Bobov Rebbe's table, what it was like on Friday night in the Bobov Beis Medrash. And the description was that Shabbos and Bobov, the highlight were the Friday night Zmiros from Shalom Aleichem until Kiddush. The Bobov Rebbe was at the head of the table. He wore a talis, a silver bekesh. He began to sing. He began the tish by singing the Shin of Shalom Aleichem. Now, the Shin of Shalom Aleichem, that tune, that melody, was a song that his father, the second Bobov Rebbe, only sang when Shabbos and Yontif coincided. On Shabbos of Yontif, when Yontif was on a Shabbos. So once a family member asked the Bobov Rebbe, Rav Shlomo Halberstam, why do you sing the Yontif tune weekly, every Shabbos? Your father's tradition was only to sing it when Shabbos was with Yontif. Why do you sing it every Shabbos all alone? And listen to what the Bobov Rebbe said. I saw this written up by Yehuda Singer. He said, the Bobov Rebbe answered, he said, after the destruction of Yiddishkeit in the Holocaust, after losing his wife and most of his children, after 6 million Kedoshim, 6 million holy souls were brutally murdered in cold blood, al Kiddush Hashem, he said, I walk into the Beis Medrash packed with Hasidic young men. I see a thriving families. Every Shabbos is a Yontif. Every Shabbos is a Yontif. And when I read this, I thought, wow, instead of wallowing in the sorrow and the sadness, instead of being stuck in the Churban, he sees a rebuilding, he sees hope. And therefore for him, Shabbos, immersing himself in Shabbos, the refuge and the smooth salve of Shabbos, me'ein olam haba. He sees the rebuilding, he sees the hope, he sees the light, he sees the seed, he sees the possibility. And so he sings the melody, the tune of when Shabbos and Yontif, because every Shabbos is a Yontif. And I think that's a thought we can have in these 3 weeks, that even though all week long we're focused on Churban, all week long we're not shaving, taking haircuts, we're not swimming, we're not eating meat, we're not drinking wine, all week long we are acutely and sadly aware of what it's like to be in this exile, what it's like to be vulnerable to this world, what it's like to be trying to navigate our way around. But Shabbos comes and we immerse ourselves in Shabbos. Even next Shabbos, Shabbos Chazon, which really is Tisha B'Av, we'll speak about it next week. Even next Shabbos, we can have a Sudas Shlomo. You could eat meat, drink wine up until the last moment before the fast begins. Why? Because Shabbos, it's the power of Shabbos, it's the energy of Shabbos. Shabbos is the taste of that world to come. Shabbos, we lose ourselves in that place called Shabbos. I got a preview of, we've done some pieces in this small pamphlet, which was a preview of B'yam D'Rachecha on Shabbos, Ravitcha Meyer on Shabbos, but I got an advanced copy of the whole Sefer. It's not available yet. It will be shortly. And I want to share some thoughts. We'll learn it together. There's such beautiful, deep things Ravitcha Meyer, the Holy Tzaddik, has in his long 448-page volume that's coming out on Shabbos, B'yam D'Rachecha on Shabbos. So he says the following, Hashem Yisbarach Omer Lanu, Hashem tells us, a pasuk in Yeshayahu Hanavi, V'karasa l'Shabbos, Oneg. Shabbos has a name, and Shabbos' name is pleasure, joy, happiness, peace, serenity. The Karasa Shabbos, we call Shabbos, we give it that name, we make it earn that title. Shabbos is a day of pleasure and joy. Shabbos is a day of setting aside our worries and our challenges, and there are no shortage of them, whether it's those who are desperate in shidduchim to find their spouse, those who are waiting to find out that they will have a child, those who financially are looking for stability, those who are looking to just be able to take for granted good health. We have all kinds of problems. They haunt us all week long, but Shabbos comes, and Shabbos is oneg. We set them aside and we lean into Shabbos, and we find that happiness and joy. V'ora gadol mevi oneg lenefesh, ki haShabbos noam haneshamos, v'hashvi oneg haruchos, ve'edin hanefashos. He's quoting from the beautiful Ka'echsof, the beautiful, beautiful Zemer of Rav Aaron Karliner, whose melody carries it to the highest heights, and whose words plumb the depths. So Rav Aaron Karliner writes, haShabbos noam haneshavos. Shabbos is the pleasure center of all neshama. Hashvi'i, that seventh day Shabbos, is oneg haruchos. A ruach, whatever energy, whatever we have a ruach and ambition and excitement and energy for, Shabbos is the oneg. Eidin hanefashos. It is the Gan Eden, it is the Garden of Eden for our neshama. V'nei oneg hu davar amok v'chashuv ma'od. The notion of oneg, what is oneg? Simcha is an existential happiness. What is oneg? Is a pleasure. Ukvar amru Chazal tell us, ein lamala me oneg, there's nothing higher. There's nothing higher than getting high on God. That is the highest height. There is no substance, there is no experience, there is no material pleasure that could compare or compete with getting high on God. Lis aneg al Hashem, oneg, ein lamala me oneg, v'hu magia me pnimiyus shleimus hanefesh. It comes from the deepest part of us, when we experience an everlasting and authentic, a genuine pleasure. It is so much greater than something that is temporal, temporary, fleeting. You could eat something, you could imbibe something, you could experience something. And it's wonderful and it's great, and you crave it again, but it passes. But when you experience something so deep, something so real, when you transform or touch something deep inside yourself, that oneg, when you realize who you are, who you're meant to be, when you make contact with the divine and something bigger than ourselves, when we find that inner peace and tranquility, when we are able to attach ourselves to Hashem and realize that everything is for a reason and a purpose, that we can lean and rely on Him, there is nothing higher. Kachsha oneg sheyesh b'Shabbos Kodesh hu totzah mikach. And that's the oneg of Shabbos. Shabbos Kodesh mevias hanefesh l'makom hagavoa v'apnimi biyoser. Shabbos elevates the soul. It peels back the layers like an onion. The layer of worry, the layer of anxiety, the worry of jealousy, the worry of envy, the worry of arrogance, the worry of anger. It peels all those away so that what is inside us, what is pure, what is innocent, what is sweet, that just wants peace and serenity, that wants to return to our equilibrium and our balance, that wants to return to a healthy state. That is the ultimate high. To be complete, to feel whole, not to feel fractured and fragmented, not to be divided and competing, but all we want and all we crave is to feel whole. And Shabbos gives that to us, to lose ourselves and immerse ourselves and run into the open arms of Shabbos. The Shabbos queen is waiting with her arms to give us a hug, to give us an embrace, to hold us, to comfort us, to strengthen us, to support us. How do you do it? How do we get there? How do we get that love of Shabbos? I met with someone this week, someone who comes from a very religious background, who is no longer and is on his way back. And he says, in my family, my father, the whole week long, he waited for Shabbos. Shabbos was on his mind from Motzei Shabbos until the next Shabbos began again. He just wanted to lose himself in it and to feel it and to be lifted by it and to experience the joy of it. He said, I want to achieve that. I want to live for Shabbos. I want Shabbos to play that role in my life. I don't want to be Shabbos to be something that I dread or I can't wait to be over. I don't want Shabbos to be a list of restrictions or things I can't do. I want Shabbos to be open arms waiting to hug me and hold me. How can we acquire that attitude, that approach? How can we get that experience? Says Rav Shemeyer, there are some Jews who get a geschmack from learning, and from a yontif, with whatever comes with it, the Seder, lighting the Hanukkah candles, sitting at the Purim Suda. But Shabbos just comes. Shabbos is just rote. Shabbos is just habit. Shabbos is just on the calendar. And the pain of that is double. If you're missing out on that sweetness and that joy and that pleasure, if you don't taste, you don't smell the Shabbos smell already on Erev Shabbos, if you don't taste the taste of Shabbos already on Erev Shabbos, if you're not already humming the tunes of Shabbos already on Erev Shabbos, the whole week you're not looking forward to and longing and planning and counting down, and there's something missing in your life. Shorei Hashem Yisbarach made al Shabbos Oneg, because Shabbos, Hashem says it's the greatest pleasure. So if something's supposed to be the greatest pleasure and everyone else says it's the greatest pleasure, and objectively it's meant to be a pleasure, but you're not getting pleasure, then something's wrong in the way it's being experienced, in the attitude and approach. If you're not feeling it, so then there's a misunderstanding and a misconception of what Shabbos is. Somehow it's been programmed or ingrained that Shabbos is fear or worry, that Shabbos is you can't do and restrictions, that Shabbos is pulling back instead of Shabbos being what opens doors and opens vistas. So this is what we'll continue with, and we study on Fridays and Erev Shabbos, as we're turning Friday into Erev Shabbos, that even in the 3 weeks, and even when Friday feels like Churban, even we're still not yet shaving, even we're still not yet playing music, but still we're about to immerse ourselves and lose ourselves in that Ir Miklat that is Shabbos, to find and tap into that Oneg that is Shabbos, that the Bobov Rebbe said, after real Churban of the Holocaust, every Shabbos is a Yontif. When we could sit around the Shabbos table with family, when Shabbos we can escape our worries, put them on the shelf, knowing that we'll have to take them down after Havdalah. But when we can lose ourselves and experience our truest selves in Shabbos, every Shabbos becomes a Yontif that's worthy of singing that special tune. Wishing everyone a beautiful, a healthy, a holy, and a happy Shabbos, a good Chodesh, a Chodesh that should bring a month that